Now on Sunrise and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com. Early voting began in Victoria on Tuesday. We'll tell you how many people showed up to cast a ballot on the first day. And a ballot item in Calhoun County has voters divided. We'll tell you why. Plus, what the Supreme Court is signaling support for in the classroom.
And this morning we are tracking a big old blob of showers and even some strong thunderstorms moving the area with some special weather statements. But today's going to be the last day for rain chances. We'll talk about all that in the weather coming up.
And the Victoria Gays were state champions out in boys track and field. I'll tell you more in 4.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning, Crossroads, and happy Wednesday. And it's also a National Picnic Day, but we may want to delay those plans, especially if they were for this morning.
Yeah, if you had any picnic plans on your National Picnic Day this morning, go ahead and postpone that. If you haven't noticed, it is raining quite nicely out there this morning, because looking at your radar, we have got a plethora of rain out there right now, and even a couple stronger thunderstorms to talk about. We're going to talk about that here in just a second, because looking at the radar where all the rain is, we've got a big old blob moving through our northern counties, even through Victoria County right now as we speak. But really right now, the main thing that we've been watching all morning is this southern bit of it, this little cluster of stronger thunderstorms that did have a weather statement, a special weather statement right here, but that has since then, about 5 minutes ago, been disbanded. That was issued for wind gusts up to 40 miles an hour and pea-sized hail. That's about 1/4 of an inch, very tiny, so nothing to worry about there. But it is definitely packing a lot of lightning in there and all of these storms out there this morning. So I can guarantee you're going to hear some thunder, and I can pretty much guarantee that you're going to see some rain, because we've got a lot of that out there this morning. But it is nice and warm out there, even behind the rain, except for the northern counties. Y'all are starting to drop into the upper 60s. So if you're headed out the door this morning, or if you're sending your kiddos out the door, go ahead and grab them that umbrella and the rain boots, because it is quite wet and it is quite booming thundering out there right now. But I think the shower activity should cut down a little bit going into the afternoon time, and we'll warm up a little bit, and we'll have all those details coming up next.
Early voting is now underway for the May 3rd election in Victoria. Voters will decide the mayoral election, 2 Victoria ISD school board seats, and whether to fund community center renovations through a new venue tax. And Bloomington residents will be voting on whether or not to incorporate the town. To see the list of all local races, go to CrossroadsToday.com. Early voting runs through April 29th. 192 people took advantage of the polls being open Tuesday. The elections office also received 118 early votes by mail. That makes 310 total votes, or 0.6% of Victoria County registered voters. In last year's May election, 236 people cast a ballot on day 1 of early voting. Early voting in Victoria County will be at the Dr. Patty Dotson Public Health Center through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Friday, the hours are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Election day is Saturday, May 3rd. With the start of early voting, Calhoun County residents have several things to look at on the ballot. One topic in particular is splitting opinions among county residents, and that's a proposal for a hospital district. 25 News Now reporter Trenton Whiting has more.
The Memorial Medical Center in Calhoun County is struggling through a funding problem, and some in the county think a new taxing district could be a solution.
It's always been a discussion, but over the last few years, our finances have not gotten better. This year is when the board finally said, I think it's time to discuss the creation of a district.
Some residents are against the proposal, worried about rising taxes for their small businesses. I spoke with small business owner Alicia Dudley, and while she was unavailable for interview, she says she's concerned about the potential tax hikes. One resident, Danny Rogers, says he feels some residents have been left out and left uninformed.
We could have done a better job of presenting that to those people so that they understand what's going on, and ultimately they can have a voice or a say.
Some who say they'll vote no are saying they just want more information and want to feel like their input is considered before the proposal passes.
It needs to involve everyone in the community.
Trenton Whiting, KAVU TV, 25 News Now.
The ratings for the 2022-2023 VISD school year, they're set to come out tomorrow after several years of litigation. Dr. Sheila Collazo says a change in the calculation led the district to a rating of 68 or a D for that school year. A change in test scores comes after several changes were implemented by the state without notifying districts in advance.
What I want to stamp in this conversation is those ratings were from 2 years ago. We have already started to pivot this school year, and we're preparing for next school year to really make some changes with what we're doing with reading and writing and mathematics across the district. We will see changes.
The superintendent also mentioned everyone needs to work side by side supporting students in current curriculum at home and in the classroom. And there will be a special mass for the repose of the soul of the Holy Father, Pope Francis, at 5:30 p.m. this evening at the Cathedral of Our Lady of Victory. This morning, the Supreme Court could support an issue involving books and parents opting their children out of certain lessons, but an official ruling could be months away.
This morning, the Supreme Court appears likely to allow parents to opt their children out of public elementary school lessons that conflict with their religious beliefs. The case centers on a group of interfaith families in Montgomery County, Maryland, who objected to their children being read books with LGBTQ characters and themes. They say this isn't about censoring books, it's about respecting their faith.
We have certain tenets in our religion that contradict some of the teachings that we're being taught.
But Emily McCowan, a parent in a same-sex marriage, says these books reflect reality.
These books are representing the community that is surrounding these children. You cannot deny that we exist. We live here. Our kids go to school here.
The school system in Maryland initially allowed parents to opt their kids out, but later said the program had become a logistical nightmare and ran counter to inclusion. The justices, during arguments yesterday, wrestled with where to draw the line between exposure to such materials and coercion, which is forbidden under the First Amendment.
It's not just exposure to the idea, right? It's saying this is the right view of the world. This is how we think about things. This is how you should think about things. This is like 2 + 2 is 4.
Is merely being exposed to the reading of the book out loud coercion? Is looking at 2 men getting married, is that the religious objection?
A lawyer from Montgomery County argued federal courts should not decide curriculum disputes, noting that the county school board was democratically elected. But the conservative justices question how this is different from excusing your child from other activities or classes.
What is the big deal about allowing them to opt out of this? They're able to opt out of the health class, right?
Justice Kagan warning that could be a slippery slope.
It'll be like, opt-outs for everyone.
The court is expected to issue a ruling in June. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
Home prices across the state are holding steady in the first quarter of 2025 with just a slight bump compared to this time last year. Here in Victoria, the median home price is just under $250,000, a bit lower than last year. The latest report from Texas Realtors also shows more homes on the market, but fewer are actually selling, with closed sales down compared to last spring. Remember, follow us on YouTube, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. The time now, let's get a look at our clock up here at 6:38 on our Wednesday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up next on 25 News Now Sunrise. A local nonprofit transforms Earth Day into a community celebration at a local university.
A stark warning about President Trump's tariffs and the U.S. economy. I'm Nicole D'Antonio in Washington with details this morning.
And also coming up next after the break in the short-term forecast, we'll take another look at your radar to see where all the rain is still ongoing. And also we'll take a look at just how much longer this rain will be with us. Well, good morning, Crossroads, and happy Weather Wednesday. You're looking live in raining Cuero. That's right, it is pouring right now in Cuero. It is 69 degrees also to start out the day, also thanks to that rain-cooled air that's falling through the air right now. But dew point, it is quite humid out there, also with the rain falling through the air. And looking again at your radar, we still have lots of rain out there this morning. And the reason I didn't show it to you right off the bat is because it's pretty much a good guarantee that you've got some rain falling outside your windows right now. Because looking at your radar, it's all over the place. But we are still tracking this one cluster of thunderstorms that's still moving through B County right now. Actually, it's exiting B County right now as we speak. But it is approaching Refugio over the next probably 10 to 15 minutes. So get ready for y'all in Refugio. Y'all got a good little line of storms coming your way, producing some solid winds gusting up to 30 to 35 miles an hour at times, and also some heavy lightning activity. We're going to look at that here in a second because it's still raining in Victoria County. And well, like I said, it's still raining for a good majority of us out there. And also, like I said, you can see just turn on the lightning, lots and lots of that with that little thunderstorm complex down there in our southwestern county. So you are very likely going to hear some thunderstorms or some thunder this morning, so don't get scared by that. But you will probably hear that for the rest of this morning because timing out the rest of the rain and the rest of the day, you can see on your feature tracker here, this is the high resolution rapid refresh model, showing you some more rain for the morning time. Here's 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., and around 10 or 11 a.m. we're going to see that thunderstorm complex and that big old blob start moving out into the Gulf. Here's 11, and about noontime we're going to start seeing the decrease in rain activity down to 30% for the rest of the afternoon time, where we may see a few leftover isolated showers and one real weak thunderstorm. I'm thinking before 4 or 5 p.m. all the rain activity should start cutting off, and we are back down to partly cloudy and then mostly cloudy skies, and that'll stick around just a little bit before rain chances are here one more day, and then we're right back to the warm breezy weather, and all that's coming up next.
Happy Wednesday morning here at Crossroads. And this past weekend, we had one of our local teams, the Victoria Gators boys track and field team, were state champions at the TAAO Division II Varsity Championships. And the Gators scored a total of 163 total points as they won over the second place team by 30 points. And that was Annapolis Christian Academy. And afterwards, we had a chance to talk to Gators coach Jaden Williams about how he feels about getting this major accomplishment for the school.
Just letting them know where we came from. You know, at the beginning of the season, we were state champions, and we kind of weren't nowhere near that. And, you know, not trying to get too ahead of ourselves, understanding that there's a goal, and the goal is to always get better each and every day. And so, you know, just trying to come out here and have them not have a hot head, big head, you know, and just be ready for whatever coming up next. I'm just blessed that I'm able to coach these guys and, you know, just be able to guide them, especially myself as a young man, being able to guide other young men and whatever their call is from God. And so
love that answer there by Williams. And again, he and the entire Gators program are proud they made history here at Victoria. And again, can't wait to showcase more of the Gators track and field team later down the line. This is Max Williams, 25 News Now Sports.
This morning, a new warning about the impact the president's tariffs could have on the global economy.
This morning, a warning from the International Monetary Fund about President Trump's tariffs. The IMF saying the tariffs will likely slow economic growth across the globe, with the United States taking a significant hit. It comes as Wall Street is on track for its worst April since the Great Depression, and the White House tries to reassure anxious investors. The administration now saying the trade standoff with China is moving in the right direction, but offered no specifics.
We're doing fine with China. We're doing fine with I think almost every country. Everybody wants to have involvement with the United States.
But behind closed doors, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent telling J.P. Morgan something very different, acknowledging China is going to be a slog in terms of the negotiations. ABC pressed President Trump about Bessent's remarks about the Chinese president.
Mr. President, you said you're ultimately going to make a deal with China, but where do things stand right now? I mean, have you talked to him? The secretary said these negotiations are going to be a slog.
My relationship with President Xi is great.
So you've talked?
It's been great for a long time. We've had a very good relationship, and I think we'll make a deal with China.
Markets rallied on Tuesday after Bessent said that the U.S. is looking to de-escalate the trade war with China. And after weeks of criticism, President Trump saying Tuesday, at least for now, that he won't fire Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, even though it's not clear he has any authority to do so. The IMF predicts U.S. economic growth will come in at just 1.8% this year, down sharply from its previous forecast of 2.7% and a full percentage point below its 2024 expansion. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
And that leads us to your viewer poll. You can scan the QR code on your screen to take part. We want to know which economic issue concerns you most right now. All right, let's take a look. 33% of you say tariffs and trade wars. 24% of you say inflation. 20% of you say job security. And 14% of you say stock market volatility. 9% of you say interest rates. And I just want to make sure I said this one correctly. 24% of you are saying inflation. Come to crosswordstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. The city of Cuero has been named a tourism-friendly Texas certified community by Travel Texas. The governor congratulated Cuero for receiving the designation. It means Cuero is putting tourism front and center to grow jobs, boost the economy, and welcome even more visitors. From wildflowers, wildflowers, and historic charm to Turkey Fest and Christmas in the Park. Cuero's got something special going on year-round. Congrats to the city, the chamber, and everyone who helped make it possible. A new playground at Little Chocolate Bayou Park in Port Lavaca is almost ready, and it's looking good. The play structure is up, and crews were finishing up the colorful coastal-inspired surface yesterday. But here's a big ask. Please stay off the playground until Thursday so it has time to fully cure. Walking on it too soon could mess up all the hard work and delay the opening. Weather permitting, everything should be wrapped up next week. The playground has been in the works since before the COVID pandemic. Cape Victoria Beautiful used Earth Day to host its first Earth Day celebration fundraiser. It took place at Kays Grove at the University of Houston Victoria campus. Local businesses such as the Farmers Market and Adopt a Beehive were there. The money raised will help with beautification projects, grants, and public art from local schools.
We do more when we do together. So when we can partner on things, collaborate on things, and that was kind of the point, is that we bring others into this kind of broad, keeping Victoria beautiful things.
The next cleanup from Keep Victoria Beautiful will be Saturday, May 3rd. The time is now 6:47 on our Wednesday morning. Still to come on Sunrise, Rome prepares for a moment of global significance as plans take shape for Pope Francis's funeral.
Well, good morning, Crossroads. Taking another look at your radar. We still have plenty of rain out there, so I think it's safe to say that I can finally guarantee that you're going to actually see some rain this morning, because looking at where all of it is, well, it's pretty much everywhere. Just going to go ahead and say that. A big old blob of rain that's kind of moving through our northern counties right now, but we're still tracking this big old cluster of stronger thunderstorms that is still tracking through our southern counties right now. We're talking about coming up towards, actually it's raining right now in Refugio, but it will at some point be coming towards Aransas County and then maybe towards Port O'Connor, although it doesn't look like it's moving more on a southerly vector going toward down to the Gulf. But if I turn on the lightning, well, we've got a lot of that out there as well, especially with that cluster of stronger thunderstorms that is approaching our southern counties. But we do have some other stratiform thunder strikes that are lightning strikes that are approaching us with all the rest of that blob of rain. But all that is going to lead me to today's weather poll. Today I ask you, it's a weather quiz. What causes lightning and a thunderstorm? And look at that, all of y'all are, or most of y'all are still voting. It's the energy from condensation, but we do now have a 10% that is voting for Graupel, and that 10% is voting for the correct answer. Graupel is correct, but also technically hail is also correct, because what happens is in a thunderstorm you have that strong updraft that is going to come, it strings all that moisture into the upper atmosphere, and then in the upper atmosphere it freezes into hail or graupel. It starts out as graupel, and then over accretion it turns into hail. And then that, with hail and graupel kind of scraping against each other, it causes friction, and that causes sparks in the upper atmosphere, and that is exactly what ignites the lightning strike that goes all the way down to the ground. So that's exactly the answer. It's graupel, that's the main answer, but hail is also technically correct. So thank y'all so much for taking part in today's weather quiz. For future weather polls and weather quizzes, just head over to crossroadstoday.com/footweather to participate, and I will always read those answers on Sunrise. Now, I know we do have a couple strong thunderstorms out there this morning, but I want to go ahead and calm and ease your concerns about severe weather. That risk is going to be up in the Panhandle today. They have a level 2 out of 5 slight risk, but we may have 1 or 2 more thunderstorms that have a special weather statement, which of course I'll keep y'all updated on, and we'll have more on that later on Sunrise.
In world news, Cardinals at the Vatican are discussing plans for the funeral of Pope Francis. The Cardinals were swarmed by local media Tuesday morning as they arrived. Pope Francis's funeral will be held Saturday at 10 a.m. local time. The funeral mass will be celebrated in the churchyard of St. Peter's Basilica before the pontiff's body is taken to the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore for burial. And this morning in the Vatican, Pope Francis's body was transported to St. Peter's Basilica. The coffin of Pope Francis will lie in state ahead of his funeral Saturday. Bells tolled slowly as the coffin entered the Basilica at 9:30 a.m. local time, while mourners in the piazza outside broke into applause. During this time, people from around the world will pay tribute to the late Pope while he lies in the Basilica. Breaking overnight, 9 people are dead and at least 30 wounded in a Russian drone attack early this morning near the Ukrainian city of Marhanets. A bus carrying people to work was struck in the attack. Fighting between Russia and Ukraine resumed with full force this week after a surprise ceasefire over the Easter weekend that both sides accused each other of breaching. As fighting rages, talks working toward an end to the war will resume in London on later today, and officials from the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, France, and the Ukraine are expected to be in attendance. And in India, gunmen shot and killed at least 26 tourists at a resort in Indian-controlled Kashmir Tuesday. Police described the incident as a terror attack and blame militants fighting against Indian rule. The attack appears to be a major shift in the regional conflict in which tourists have largely been spared. The gunfire coincided with the visit to India of Vice President J.D. Vance, who called it a devastating terrorist attack. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. A dramatic surge in air pollution is affecting communities nationwide. A new report has found nearly half of Americans breathe unhealthy levels of air pollution. The American Lung Association looked at air quality data from 2021 to 2023 for its annual State of the Air report. It found about 156 million people live in an area the association gave a failing grade for ozone and 2 measures of fine particle matter pollution. That's 25 million more than last year's report. A delegation of Democratic lawmakers visited 2 ICE detention facilities in Louisiana on Tuesday. The congressional delegation met with 2 students who were detained by ICE and transported to Louisiana. The delegation also met with a mother who has lived in the United States for 17 years, married to an American citizen, and was detained during a routine checkup with ICE. Women in the U.S. are still having fewer babies than usual. About 3.6 million babies were born in the U.S. last year. That's an increase of less than 1% from 2023, and 2023 was a record low. The amount of children women have, a metric known as the fertility rate, has been dropping since 2008. The cost of raising children and waning confidence in maternal health care are factors. A jump in the fertility rate in 2021, some thought might lead to a COVID-19 baby bump, was short-lived. As Victoria County property owners get their 2025 appraisal notices in the mail, the Victoria Central Appraisal District is hosting an information session on property tax and the appraisal system. It's to educate residents on how property is appraised, how to apply for exemptions, and how to navigate the appeals process. It'll be today at 6 p.m. at the Dr. Patty Dotson Public Health Center. Officials encourage residents to attend. And be sure to catch the latest episode of Let's Grow Texas Ag. The newest episode airs on KMOL at 6:30 p.m. today. It also streams on Zeem, so don't miss Joe Adams and Let's Grow Texas Ag. And now let's get a final look at our rainy sunrise with Parker. How's it looking out there?
You are correct. It is nice and rainy out there for a solid majority of us out there this morning. Looking live in Victoria. Right on the money. It is raining right now, 77 degrees, nice and warm out there, and plenty humid as well in the background. So make sure that you put applying some hairspray, and also make sure you got your umbrellas, because looking at one last time at your radar, we've got a plethora of that out there this morning. So make sure that you all are staying nice and dry, because we got a big old blob of it moving through our northern counties right now. But we've been tracking all morning long this one little stronger thunderstorm complex that is starting to move through Refugio County into Aransas County, and then at some point into southern Calhoun County over the next half hour, an hour or so. So make sure that y'all got your umbrellas out for today, especially in counties along 59 and south towards the coast, because that's, I think, where we're going to see most of the rain today. Getting a high of 80 in Port Lavaca and a little bit warmer in Victoria. I'm thinking 81 the same timing of all that. But I do think shower activity will cut off a little bit earlier in Cuero, as you can see right there, still getting up to 81 for today. And after today, chances for rain are dropping to 20% tomorrow, and then we're right back to the breezy and warm weather.
All right, thank you, Parker, and thank y'all for joining us. Be sure to join Shauna, Dawn, Maclovio, and Max today for 25 News at 5, 6, and have a good day, and stay tuned for Good Morning America.
Enjoy the rain.